It's funny, he said, "Did you get the message?" And then I said, "Well, I think so." And it's funny because I was wanting to comment on how listening to Gonzalo is sometimes like watching a movie. And it's unfolding, and I don't know what's next. And just when I think I know what kind of movie it is, it's not that kind of movie. And it's interesting because that was kind of what today was like for me. This has been such an important topic that's been so heavy on my mind. And yet I've had this hard time grabbing at it and finding this entry point. And when I got here today, there was so much brightness in the room and so much energy and so much movement. And I kept thinking, no, it has to be more serious and more somber. But the energy just kept being bright and energetic. And it's like, no, we have to be serious and sacred. This is about respect. And then I realized I wasn't respecting the energy that was in the room. And I thought, I have failed before I begun. So there's an interesting act of respect that I wanted to comment on as we begin this topic. And part of my musings for today is about recognizing where respect can take us and recognizing where respect comes from, but also recognizing the great loss that happens in our life and in the world when we lose respect. I'm not sure how this started to dissolve or decay. It seems to me that the loss of respect in this world begins as our focus shifts from we to me. And then my ability to really know what's going on or where I'm at gets clouded. And we start to question more, we start to overanalyze and overthink. And simple gestures, simple things start to be questioned. Like, how many people did you greet this morning with a hug? Let's do it differently. That's too personal, right? How many people did you greet with a handshake? Isn't that funny? You travel the world today and you want to show a little respect. And you shake a hand. And somehow we've overthought this. It's kind of formal, isn't it? Does a man shake a woman's hand? Whose hand? If I normally hug you or I hugged you last week and I shake your hand this week, does that mean I like you less? How hard should I shake the hand? Isn't this what professional people do? It's a handshake. But what our ancestors knew, regardless of your culture or heritage, is that it wasn't a formality, it was a show of respect. It was a non-verbal way of saying, namaste, I see you, I respect you, I honor you. It doesn't even mean I like you. It doesn't have to mean I like you. It just means that I know you're there. So before I say anything more about this, I'd like to share something with you, and you can participate if you like. What I'd like to do is invite you, I'll give you the cue, if you feel comfortable, to stand up in a moment and just to shake somebody's hand. But before you finish shaking their hand, I'm going to invite you to shake somebody else's hand. So don't let go of the first until you've taken the second. And then see if you can find a third. And connect with a few people. Not because it's comfortable, not because it's what you want to do or what you think should be happening, but because we are here because of each other. And if we seek to be one with Spirit, then we are here for each other. And to not acknowledge Spirit sitting right beside you, and yet spend hours looking for the right workshop, makes no sense at all. So let's take just a minute. I'm going to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to stand and greet someone. Shake their hand, introduce yourself. But before you let go, grab a new hand. And before you let go, grab the next hand. Don't let go. Some hugging is happening. Okay, so let's sit down. Enough respect already. Oh. It's interesting, in my community of spiritual formation, when you greet an audience or a congregation, you say, "Hao mitakiapi, chante washte nape chuzapelo." And it says, "Greetings, my relatives. I greet you with a warm handshake from my heart." And it acknowledges that we are relatives, and that when we connect physically, we are enacting a ritual of remembering we are connected. So speaking of connection and the topic of respect, I was perplexed. I mean perplexed, as throughout the week I kept searching for writings and songs about respect. Google it. Just Google it. Poem about respect. Readings about respect. It's mind-boggling. And yet every other topic speaks of it indirectly. And a strange thing happened this morning while I was taking one last shot at it. Someone sent me a text and I replied, and I got the weirdest autocorrect. Now, this is not something I wrote. This is a real autocorrect. And it had nothing to do with what I wrote. Do you ever get that? Like I wrote, "I'll bring the cake." And it says, "Thanks for last night." What it said was Matthew 12. That was weird. This is Matthew 12. Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, the day of rest, and his disciples were hungry and began to pluck heads of grain and to eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath." But he said to them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry? He and those who were with him, how he entered the house of God and ate the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests. Or have you not read in the law that on the Sabbath the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are yet blameless? Yet I say to you that in this place there is one greater than the temple, one greater than the law. But if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless." For the Son of Man is Lord even on the Sabbath. And I thought to myself, what does that mean? It means that respect starts at the center and moves out. It starts with the one. And through our relationship to that one, all acts become holy. All acts become sacred. When we start from the outside in, as it says in the passage that I was conveniently given, then we evaluate what is respectful and what is right based on rules, based on preferences, based on conditions, based on society, and too often based on what we like, what we want, our idea of respect. But this message says if that's how you're looking at life, you're looking at life upside down, backwards. All things begin with source. All things begin with our relationship to God in spirit. And when we see through that lens, when we live through that lens, when we feel through that lens, respect follows. In the moments where we are not respectful of others, we are unaware of spirit. It's that simple. And in moments where we are not respectful of ourselves, we are forgetful of spirit. If what we say here is true, what we believe and what we affirm, the oneness of all, source and substance in spirit, then that means every being and everything is my relative. Not figuratively, not metaphorically, but literally. We are connected in energy. We are connected in consciousness. We are connected through the same spirit. So then the question becomes not, what do you think of him? Or what do you think of her? But how do you feel about spirit? What if spirit put this person before you? What if spirit gave you this struggle? What if this situation is spirit? How respectful or disrespectful would you be? How patient or impatient? How loving or unkind? See, it's one of the most tricky and frustrating things about this path of mystical awakening, which is if we feel, we sense, and we have been told and affirmed that all things are as one, that every face I see here is the face of God, then at what point do I start to pick and choose who I'm going to be respectful of? And can I see that with each word of disrespect, I bring shame upon myself, and I bring a deep, deep disconnect from my awareness of God in this world? I think that's why so many of our old traditions said that everything begins with respect. Everything heals through respect. Think about anything in your life right now that's out of balance. Any relationship, any action, any habit. And ask yourself if each decision and thought in that process is respectful. Just use that one criteria. And you'll see very quickly your answers. Look where you've fallen down. Look where you've made mistakes. Look where you've hurt yourself or betrayed others. Was that respectful of them? Was that respectful? Of yourself. Because when we when we commit an act that is disrespectful or speak a word that is disrespectful of someone else, it reflects a deep break inside us. And so offering that respect is one of the most selfish things we could do, because it returns us to the appropriate place as taught by the passage, Matthew 12. It returns us to the center of all directions, the source of all things. Begin not with the law, begin not with the rules, begin not with appearances, begin with the one. Feel that connection. See the connection. Live as though it were true. And come into relationship with all life as family or friends. So let's take a moment just to feel the wisdom of respect. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, if you will, and find any place of imbalance in your story, in your life today, pain in your heart, struggles with the world. And take a breath in as you hold that. And in the same moment, affirm your oneness in spirit. Imagine if you are an individualized expression of God, and this person, this situation, is an individualized expression of God, what might it look like if you were to at least show respect? Where is the respect lacking? Is it boundaries in your own life? Is it respect for your body? Is it respect for the talents and gifts you've been given? Is it respect for the power of words? Is it respect for the unknown and the truth that there's little we can control? How do you bring your reverence for life into this situation? And even if we live with pain, and we will, with heartbreak, and we will, with joy and beauty, loss and chaos, how can we arise to each moment through the power of respect and so bring dignity to life, ourselves, and open our hearts so that love and healing might always be possible?